Hello. Hello everyone. I am Sumo Maiti, working as a lead network analyst at Data Space Security. So today I will discuss about CCNA routing process. So what is routing process? So it is a process of sending data packets from one network to another network using the best possible path. And there are such of routing types. There are three types of routing types. First one is static routing. Second one is default routing, and third one is dynamic routing. So what is static routing? So static routing here routing is done by the administrators manually, and it means routers are added manually to the router. And static routing is 100% reliable, and there is no chance of failure, and it is more trusted. Next, there is a term administrative distance. So what is administrative distance? So it is an integer value that determines the trustworthiness of a routing process, and range is 0 to 255. And if the value is closer to 0, means the process is more reliable, and if the value is closer to 255, then the process is untrusted or unreliable. In static routing, the administrative distance value is 0 and 1, and the static routing is based for small network, and there is a huge administrative overhead for static routing. And static routing is supported in low-end Cisco routers. Also, it can be configured in also non-Cisco routers as well. Next, I will discuss about default routing. Okay, so what is default routing? So it is done when the destination network is known, but how can reach the destination is unknown, and it is configured between component router and service provider router. Next, I will discuss about dynamic routing. So what is dynamic routing? It is a type of routing where routing is done by routing protocols. Administrators need not to be advertise the unknown networks individually, and routing protocols will find out the not connected routes themselves, and they will choose the best path selections will depend on matrices. So dynamic routing is depend on metric. So what is metric? So these are the parameters on which routing protocols depend while choosing the best path. So there are options like bandwidth, delay, load, reliability, MTU, the full form MTU is maximum transmission unit, and administrative distance, hop count, and cost. Sometimes dynamic routing is also called as adaptive routing. So let's move to the practical part in static routing using next hop address. Static routing using next hop address. Okay. So for routing, we need a router also. So through router, we can route routing. So go to the network devices. So there are routers. We have to take two routers for a static routing. Then you have to choose two switches for two routers. There we have to take two end devices, PC or laptop. Both you can take. So we have to take two routers, two switch, and four PC. So next we have to go to the router part, and we have to switch off the router, and we have to take WH2T card for select serial connection. Then we have to switch on the router. Next, go to another router. Same process. You have to switch off the router. Take WH2T card and drag into any port. Then switch on the router. Then we have to take connections. We have to go to connections. So there are a red clock sign cable. We can call as serial DC cable. So choose this. and select on router. So choose the serial connection. So we have choose double-shoot record for serial connection. Okay. So we have done the connections between two routers. Next, we have to choose the straight cable, pass the net, then connect with switch. Next, you have to take straight cable for connect to PC from switch. Done. Next, go to another router. So connect to router and then connect to switch. Then there are also two systems. You have to connect with straight cable. Okay. So our connection is done, right? So next you have to write on it like this is a router one. So you can write it R1, and for R2 identification purpose only. This is non-mandatory. And we have to also write down the IP address also 192.168.10.1. That's class C private IP range, and 192.168.10.2. Next, there are in router in R1 router one. So there are two interface. So we have to take two IPs for two interfaces. So in FA0Y0 we have to take another IP 10.0.0.1. This is class A private IP range. So there are also IP same range IP 10.0.0.2, and this is also 10.0.0.3. Next, go to another router interface FA0Y0. There will be the IP 20.0.0.1. Then it will be the 20.0.0.2, and it will be the 20.0.0.3. Right. So you've done our basic part. So next we have to do we have to go to every system and we have to put IP address, server mask, and default gateway. So what will be the two system default gateway IP? The default gateway of two systems IP will be this interface IP 10.0.0.1. 10.0.0.1 will be the default gateway IP for the two systems, and for these two systems the default gateway IP will be 20.0.0.1. Okay, so click on the PC, go to desktop option, you have to configure the IP. So the IP is 10.0.0.2. Then to the subnet mask, and the default gateway will be 10.0.0.1. This interface IP. So cut it. Next, go to another system, click on it, click on desktop, IP configuration, and put the address, IP address 10.0.0.3, and the gateway will be the same 10.0.0.1. Done. Go to another system, click on it, desktop, IP configuration, and the IP address will be 20.0.0.2, and there is a subnet mask, and the default gateway IP will be this 20.0.0.1. Done. Next, go to another system and go to desktop, IP configuration, and the address will be 20.0.0.3, and the default gateway will be 20.0.0.1. Done. So our basic configuration is done. Next, we have to go to the router part, router 1 and router 2. So let's move to the router 1. We have to do the basic configuration in router 1. So there are options CLI. CLI means command line interface. Through command, we can configure our router. So click on it. And there is a question, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? You have to put the no, then enter. Then we'll go to the user execution mode. Then we have to give the command enable for going privilege mode. Now we are in privilege mode. Next, you have to give the command config t, config space t, enter. Then Now we have a global configuration mode, right? Now we can change our host name for identification purpose. So host name space R1, enter. So there is a R1. So there was a router, but when I change the host name, this is R1 config, right? Next, I'll do the interface IP. Okay, so there are two interfaces in router one, FA0 by 0 and AC0 by 3 by 0. So at first, go to the FA0 by 0. So int FA0 by 0 means int means interface and FA means Ethernet port. So int FA0 by 0, then press enter. Then we have to put the IP address. Okay, so IP add 10.0.0.1. Then you have to put the subnet mask 255.0.0 class A default subnet mask. Press enter. Okay, then you have to give the command set. Then you have to give the command exit. Done. So we done our configuration part in FA0 by 0 interface. Next we have to go to the interface AC0 by 3 by 0. So let's move to the example part in AC 0 by 3 by 0. Then you have to put the IP address, IP add 192.168.10.1. Then put the subnet. So this is class C IP. So you have to keep the class C default subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Enter. Then you have to put the command no start for up the interface. And there is a clock sign. Okay, so this is a DC end. So you have to give the also start to command like clock rate 64,000. Bandwidth, you have to also give the bandwidth 64. Done. So basic configuration done done in router 1. Okay, so next you have to go to the router 2. So click on router 2. So drag it part for better understand. So go to CLI, and there also you write the no. Then give the command enable. Then you have to give the command config t. Okay, done. Next, so change the host name space R2. Done. Perfect. So there is also two interfaces, FA0 by 0 and AC0 by 0. So let's move to the first interface, FA0 by 0. Int FA0 IP add 20.0.0.1 space 255.0.0.0. Then you have to give the command no start for up the interface. Done. Then you have to give the command exit. Next, we have to go another interface, int AC 0 by 0 by 0. Also, they have to put IP address, IP add 192.168.10.2 space 255.255.255.0. Done. Then you have to give the command no start for up the interface. Done. Then exit. Okay. So our basic configuration is done and all the ports is in up. Okay. So this is a static routing. So there is also, this is also basic part. So I have to put the command routing. Okay. So when we go from R1 to R2, we have to give the another command. So I have to define the how can I do from R1 to R2. So in R2, when suppose we are in R1, when we go to R2, so there is a IP address 20.0. The IP network address will be 20.0.0, right? So this is the interface IP 20.0.1, but this network address will be 20.0.0.0. So we have to give the command IP root. We have to define the root, IP root. So from R1 we have to go R2. So the network address will be 20.0.0. Then the submask 255.0.0.0. Next. So what is the next hop address? Means next router address. So next router address of R1 will be 192.168.10.2. So put down it 192.168.10. Enter. Command exit. There's exit. There's a privilege mode. So you have to give the command W or save. Then enter press. Okay. So our configuration is in safe mode. Then go to R2. We have to also route, we have to define the route. So suppose we are in R2, right? So we have to R1. The R1 this interface, the network ID will be 10.0.0 and the submask will be 255.000 and the next hop address of R2 will be 192.168.10.1, right? So we have to give the command IP route. We have to define the route. IP route 10.0.0.0 space. The submask will be 255.0. The class default submask. Then the next hop add be 192.168.10.1. Done. So there's a privilege mode. We have to go to there is a global connection mode. We have to go to privilege mode for save the configuration. So write up command exit. Done. Then put the WR. Okay. So we have done our configuration, right? So we have to check like going from one this network to another network. So go to another PC, this PC, click on it and go to command prompt and we have to ping the another network address like ping space like we are in this PC. So go to this network like 20.0.0.2. So ping space 20.0.0.2. What will the output? Okay, the output is coming. So our practical is successful. So this is a static routing practical. So we have done our practical in success. Okay, so that's all.